Danny Cole was having the worst day of his life. The warning lights on his cargo ship had turned red 3 hours ago. The engine made a sound like a dying animal, and then everything went quiet. His ship, a beaten-up freighter called the Blue Sparrow, was falling toward a place where no one was supposed to go. The Nexus Vault. Every pilot in the galaxy knew about the vault. It sat at the center of everything, a massive structure made of black stone and glowing crystal. The Guardians lived there, ancient machines that were older than most stars. They protected the vault and decided who could enter. The rules were simple. If you wanted to go inside, you had to ask permission. You had to wait. Some species waited for decades, some waited for centuries. Most were told no. And if you tried to enter without permission, you died. Danny had heard the stories. Ships that got too close were turned to ash in seconds. Entire fleets had been destroyed for approaching without invitation. The Guardians did not give warnings. They did not negotiate. They simply ended anything that broke the rules. Now his broken ship was falling straight toward the vault's outer platform. Danny tried everything. He rerouted power. He kicked the engine compartment. He even prayed to gods he did not believe in. Nothing worked. The Blue Sparrow hit the platform with a terrible crash, sliding across the smooth black surface until it finally stopped. Danny sat in his pilot's seat, breathing hard. He was alive. He did not understand why. Slowly, he opened the emergency hatch and climbed out. The air was cool and clean, better than any air he had ever breathed. Above him, the sky was filled with stars, more than he could count, and in front of him stood the doors of the vault. They were enormous. Each door was taller than a skyscraper, made of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. Strange symbols were carved into the surface, words in a language that had been dead for billions of years. Danny felt very small. He looked around for help, but there was no one. His communication device showed nothing but static. He was alone on a platform where he should have been killed the moment he arrived. Far away, on a floating station that orbited the vault, Ambassador Vex was watching. Vex was a reptilian species known for their patience and their long lives. She had green scales, golden eyes, and a tail that showed her emotions better than her face ever could. Right now, her tail was rigid with shock. She had been waiting at this station for 47 years. 47 years of filling out forms, answering questions, proving that she was worthy. 47 years of watching the Guardians reject her petitions one after another. And now she was watching a random human stumble around on the forbidden platform like a lost child. "He should be dead," said her assistant, a young named Kel. "Why is he not dead?" Vex did not answer. She could not take her eyes off the human. Danny was walking toward the doors. He did not mean to. His feet just moved on their own, carrying him closer to the glowing crystal. Some part of his brain was screaming at him to stop, to run, to do anything except approach the most protected place in the galaxy. But another part of him felt calm, safe, like he was coming home after a long journey. He stopped in front of the doors and looked up. The symbols seemed to move, rearranging themselves into patterns he almost recognized. Then the doors began to open. The sound was like music, deep and beautiful. Light poured out from inside, warm and golden, and a voice spoke, not in his ears but directly in his mind. "Welcome, child of Earth, you may enter." Danny stood frozen. He did not understand what was happening. He was a cargo pilot. He delivered supplies to mining stations and farming colonies. He was nobody special. He had not asked permission. He had not even meant to come here. But the doors were open, and the light was calling him. On the observation station, Vex made a sound that was half scream and half sob. 47 years. She had given 47 years of her life for a chance to see what was inside. And this human, this random, unremarkable human, was being invited in like an honored guest. "This is impossible," Kel said. The records must be wrong, check the records. But Vex knew the records were not wrong. She had studied every piece of information about the vault. She knew that this had happened before. Humans had approached the vault many times over the centuries, and every single one had been allowed inside immediately. No waiting, no questions, no rejection. Every other species in the galaxy had to beg for entry. Humans simply walked in. Nobody knew why. Danny took a step forward, passing through the doorway and into the light. The warmth wrapped around him like a blanket. The fear he had felt melted away, replaced by a strange sense of peace. Inside, the vault was more beautiful than anything he had ever seen. The walls were made of crystal that shifted colors as he moved. Plants grew in gardens that floated in midair. Water flowed upward in fountains that gravity, and everywhere there was light, soft and golden and alive. Shapes moved in the distance. The Guardians. They were not machines in the way Danny had imagined. They were beings of pure light, flowing and changing like flames. They watched him with what felt like curiosity, maybe even affection. "Why?" Danny whispered. "Why am I allowed in?" The Guardians did not answer. They simply smiled, if light could smile, and gestured for him to follow them deeper into the vault. Danny looked back at the doors. They were still open, showing the dark platform outside and the stars beyond. He could leave. He could go back to his broken ship and wait for rescue. But he knew he would not. Something was calling him forward, something that had been waiting for a very long time. He turned away from the doors and walked deeper into the vault, ready to discover why humans were different. Behind him, far away on the observation station, Vex made a decision. She had waited 47 years for answers. Now she was going to find them, no matter what it took. She was going to learn the truth about humans. The news spread across the galaxy like fire. Another human had entered the Nexus Vault without permission. Another human had walked through doors that remained closed to everyone else. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting, and representatives from 100 different species demanded answers. Kate Morgan watched the chaos from her small office on the observation station. She was a scientist who studied alien cultures and their relationships with humanity. She had spent 15 years researching the Guardians, reading ancient texts, interviewing species who had waited centuries for entry. And in all that time, she had never set foot inside the vault herself. It was not because she could not. Kate knew that if she walked up to those crystal doors, they would open for her just like they opened for every human. But she had always believed that the answer should be found through research, not simply by asking. The mystery was too important to solve with shortcuts. Now the mystery was causing a crisis. "You need to go inside," said the message from Earth's diplomatic office. "The other species are angry. They want to know why humans are special. If you do not find an answer soon, there could be serious consequences." Kate deleted the message and rubbed her tired eyes. She had not slept in 2 days. Every screen in her office showed footage of Danny Cole walking through the vault's doors, played over and over again. A knock came at her door. "Come in," she said. The door opened, and Ambassador Vex stepped inside. The diplomat moved with grace despite her obvious exhaustion. Her golden eyes were red from lack of sleep, and her tail dragged on the floor behind her. "Dr. Morgan," Vex said, "I need your help." Kate gestured to a chair. "Please sit down, you look terrible." "I feel terrible," Vex sat heavily. 47 years. I have waited 47 years. I have answered every question the Guardians asked. I have proven my worth 1,000 times, and still they say no. "I know," Kate said softly. "I am sorry." "I do not want your apology," Vex leaned forward. "I want to understand, why are humans allowed in? What makes your species so special?" Kate shook her head. "I do not know. I have studied the Guardians my entire career, and I still do not have an answer." "Then go inside and ask them." "It is not that simple." It is exactly that simple. Vex stood up, her tail snapping with frustration. You can walk through those doors any time you want. You choose not to. Meanwhile, the rest of us spend our entire lives begging for a chance that never comes. Before Kate could respond, the door burst open again. A massive figure filled the doorway, covered in gray armor that hummed with power. Commander of the Empire had arrived. They were a warrior species, proud and aggressive. They believed that strength was the highest virtue and that weakness deserved no mercy. Was one of their most decorated soldiers, with scars covering his face and arms. "Human," he growled, looking at Kate, "you will explain this insult." Kate stayed calm. She had dealt with angry before. "I cannot explain what I do not understand." Lies stepped closer, his armor making heavy sounds on the floor. "Your species is cheating. You have found some trick to fool the Guardians. You are not special. You are thieves." "We are not cheating," Kate said firmly. "Humans have been allowed into the vault since the first time we found it, long before we had the technology to trick anyone." "Then explain why my people have waited 800 years for permission, while humans walk in like they own the place." Vex spoke up. "Commander, threatening Dr. Morgan will not give you answers, but she can get them. She can enter the vault and ask the Guardians directly." Turned his face toward Kate. "Is this true? You can go inside." "Any human can." "Then you will go, now, and you will return with an answer, or I will make sure the Empire cuts all ties with Earth. Your trade agreements will end. Your colonies near our space will be removed. Your species will learn what it means to anger us." Kate wanted to argue, but she saw the truth in his eyes. Was not bluffing. They were proud, and their pride had been wounded. They needed an explanation, or they would start a conflict that could hurt millions of people. "Fine," she said quietly, "I will go." She left her office and made her way to the transport that would take her to the vault's platform. Vex followed her. "Thank you," they said. "I know this is not what you wanted." "No, it is not, but maybe it is time." Kate looked out the window at the approaching vault. "I have spent 15 years avoiding this moment. I was afraid that if I learned the truth, it would change everything." "Some truths need to change things." The transport landed on the platform, not far from the wreckage of Danny Cole's ship. Kate stepped out and looked at the massive crystal doors. They seemed to glow brighter as she approached. Her heart was beating fast. After all these years of research, she was finally going to see what was inside. She walked forward and the doors began to open. The same warm light poured out. The same musical sound filled the air, and the same gentle voice spoke in her mind. "Welcome, child of Earth, you may enter." Kate took a deep breath and stepped through. The beauty inside nearly brought her to tears. Gardens of impossible flowers, rivers of light, structures that seemed to be made of music, and everywhere the soft presence of the Guardians watching her with ancient, patient eyes. She found Danny Cole sitting on a bench beside a pool of glowing water. He looked up as she approached, and his face showed relief. "Finally," he said, "another human. I was starting to think I was going crazy." "How long have you been in here?" Kate asked. 3 days, I think, but it feels like a few hours. Time moves differently here." He stood up and stretched. "They keep showing me amazing things. Rooms full of knowledge. Gardens with plants from planets that do not exist anymore, but they will not tell me why I am allowed in." Kate nodded. "Then we will ask together. I want to speak to Guardian Prime." The moment she said the name, the light around them shifted. A shape began to form in the air before them, larger and brighter than the other Guardians. It moved like fire and water at the same time, constantly changing yet somehow staying the same. "You wish to speak with me," said Guardian Prime. The voice was ancient and kind. "I have been waiting for this moment for a very long time." Kate straightened her shoulders. "Then you know what I am going to ask." "Yes, you want to know why humans may enter without permission." "The whole galaxy wants to know." Guardian Prime was silent for a moment. Then the ancient being asked a question that changed everything. Do you know what the vault truly is? Do you know why we built it? Kate shook her head. No one knows. We assumed it was a library or a source of power. It is neither. Guardian Prime moved closer, and its light wrapped around them like a warm embrace. The vault is a memorial. It was built to honor those who created us, and it was built to wait. Wait for what? Danny asked. Guardian Prime's voice became soft with something that sounded almost like love. For their children to come home. Kate felt the words hit her like a physical force. Children. The Guardian had said children. I do not understand, she said slowly. What do you mean, children? Guardian Prime moved through the air like a living flame, leading them deeper into the vault. As they walked, the walls showed images, ancient pictures that moved like memories. Long ago, Guardian Prime began, before any of the species you know existed, there was a race called the Architects. They were the first intelligent beings in this galaxy. They built wonders that have never been matched. They traveled between stars when the universe was still young. The images showed tall beings with gentle faces. They looked almost human, but taller and more graceful. Their eyes held wisdom that came from millions of years of existence. We were created by them, Guardian Prime continued. The Guardians were made to protect their greatest creation, this vault, but the Architects knew that nothing lasts forever, not even them. What happened to them? Danny asked. A catastrophe, a wave of destruction that swept across the galaxy, too powerful for even the Architects to stop. They had only one choice: accept extinction or find a way to survive. The images changed. They showed the Architects working desperately, building strange machines and sending ships in every direction. They could not save themselves, Guardian Prime said, but they could save their essence, their genetic code, the building blocks of what they were. They scattered these seeds across thousands of worlds, hoping that one day, somewhere, their children would rise. Kate's legs felt weak. She sat down on a nearby bench, her mind racing. You are saying that humans are descendants of the Architects? Yes. Danny laughed nervously. That is impossible. Humans evolved on Earth. We came from apes. Scientists have proven this. Your scientists are not wrong, Guardian Prime replied. Evolution shaped you, but the seed that started your evolution was not random chance. It was placed on Earth 3 billion years ago by the Architects. You are their children, the only successful result of their desperate plan. Kate thought about everything she knew about human biology, about the strange leaps in evolution that scientists had never fully explained, about how humans had developed intelligence so quickly compared to other species on Earth. The other species, she said, though all the others, they are not descended from the Architects. No, they evolved naturally without the Architect's gift. This is not a judgment of their worth. Every species has value, but they are not the ones we were built to wait for. Danny sat down next to Kate. His face was pale. So when the vault opened for me, it was because the doors recognized me, recognized what I am. Yes, the vault was built for you, for all humans. It is your inheritance, left by parents who loved you before you ever existed. Kate felt tears forming in her eyes. The Architects had died billions of years ago. They had never met a single human, but they had loved humanity anyway, loved the idea of what their children might become. Why did you not tell us sooner? She asked. Humans have been visiting the vault for centuries. Why keep this secret? Guardian Prime was silent for a long moment. Because knowing is not the same as being ready. The Architects left more than just a memorial in this vault. They left knowledge, technology, the power to heal dying worlds and end wars forever, but they also left a warning. What warning? Power given to those who are not ready will destroy them. The Architects watched younger races destroy themselves many times. They did not want the same fate for their children. so they locked their gifts away until humanity proved it was worthy. Kate thought about human history, the wars, the cruelty, the endless cycles of destruction. How can we ever prove we are worthy? Our history is full of terrible things. Your history is also full of beautiful things, Guardian Prime said gently. Compassion, sacrifice, love. The architects did not expect their children to be perfect. They expected them to struggle and to grow. They designed you to carry both darkness and light because those who know suffering are more careful with power. Danny stood up and walked to one of the floating gardens. He touched a flower that glowed with soft purple light. So what do we do now? How do we prove we are ready? The test is not a trial or a battle. It is simply this: when humanity can approach other species not as conquerors or competitors, but as family, the vault will open fully. Kate thought about Commander, waiting outside with his threats and his wounded pride. She thought about Vex, who had spent nearly 50 years hopping for a chance that seemed to keep slipping away. The other species are angry, she said. They feel that we have something they cannot have, that we are receiving a gift we did not earn. Their feelings are understandable, but humans did not ask for this privilege. You were born into it, just as they were born into their own histories and abilities. The question is not whether the gift is fair. The question is what you will do with it. A new image appeared on the walls. It showed the architects in their final moments, standing before machines that would scatter their genetic code across the stars. They were saying goodbye to each other, knowing they would never see the children they were creating. One of them looked directly at the image, as if looking through time itself. She spoke, and though Kate could not understand the language, the meaning filled her mind. To our children, if you are seeing this, know that we loved you. Know that everything we built for you. The galaxy can be cruel and dangerous, but it can also be wonderful. Find others to share it with. Build a family larger than blood. That is our final wish. The image faded. Kate wiped her eyes. Danny was crying too, though he tried to hide it. I am just a cargo pilot, he said. I am not special. I am not wise or powerful. How am I supposed to help humanity pass this test? Guardian Prime moved closer to him, and its light felt like a gentle hand on his shoulder. You do not need to be special. You only need to be kind. The architects did not create warriors or kings. They created ordinary beings who could choose to be good. That is the greatest strength of all. Kate stood up. She had come to the vault looking for answers about the past. Instead, she had found a challenge for the future. I need to tell the others, she said. The species waiting outside, the ones who feel rejected and angry, they need to know the truth. That is your choice, Guardian Prime said. But remember, the truth alone will not change their hearts. Only actions can do that. Kate nodded. She understood. Telling the galaxy that humans were special would only make things worse. She needed to show them something else. She needed to show them that humans could share. Thank you, she said to Guardian Prime, for waiting, for believing in us. We will always believe in you. That is what parents do. Kate turned and walked back toward the vault's entrance. Danny followed her. They had a lot of work to do. Outside, the galaxy was waiting for answers. Kate was going to give them something better. She was going to give them hope. The observation station was quiet when Kate and Danny returned. Too quiet. Every alien in the main hall stopped what they were doing and stared at the two humans. Ambassador Vex was the first to approach. Her golden eyes searched Kate's face for answers. What did you learn? Why are humans allowed in? Kate looked around the room. She saw diplomats, warriors, traders from a dozen different worlds. All of them were waiting. All of them wanted to know why they were not good enough. I learned the truth, Kate said, but I need everyone to hear it, not just you. Within an hour, the main hall was packed. Representatives from every species on the station had gathered. Commander stood in the front, his arms crossed over his armored chest. His face showed nothing but anger. Kate stood on a raised platform so everyone could see her. She had never been good at public speaking, but this was too important to fail. 3 billion years ago, she began, there was a race called the Architects. They were the first intelligent species in this galaxy. They created the Guardians. They built the Nexus Vault, and when they faced extinction, they tried to save something of themselves. She told them everything. The seeds scattered across the galaxy, the genetic code that eventually became humanity, the reason the vault's doors opened for humans and no one else. When she finished, the silence was heavy. Then Commander laughed, a harsh and bitter sound. So your claim is that humans are the chosen ones, the special children of an ancient race. How convenient. It is not a claim, Kate said calmly. It is the truth. The Guardians confirmed it. The Guardians are machines. They can be programmed to say anything. Stepped forward, his hands clenching into fists. I do not believe this story. I think humans found a way to manipulate the vault systems. I think you are lying to protect your advantage. Vex spoke up. Commander, I have studied the vault for decades. There is no evidence of manipulation. Then I will create evidence. Turned to one of his soldiers. Bring me the genetic modifier. Kate felt a chill run down her spine. What are you doing? I am going to prove that anyone can enter the vault if they have the right biological signature. I will modify my own DNA to match human patterns. Then I will walk through those doors and show the galaxy that humans are cheating. That is incredibly dangerous, Danny said. You could kill yourself. I am a warrior. I do not fear death. Took a small device from his soldier and pressed it against his neck. The device hummed, and his gray skin rippled as the genetic modifications took effect. The process looked painful. His face twisted and his body shook, but he did not cry out. When it was over, he stood and smiled with sharp teeth. Now we will see the truth, he said. He marched out of the hall, heading toward the transport that would take him to the vault. Kate and Danny followed, along with Vex and dozens of others. Everyone wanted to see what would happen. The transport landed on the vault's platform, stepped out and walked toward the crystal doors with absolute confidence. His modified DNA hummed inside him, mimicking human patterns as closely as technology could manage. He stopped in front of the doors and waited. Nothing happened. The doors remained closed. The blue glow did not change. The warm light did not appear. Growled and stepped closer. Open, I have human DNA now. Open for me. Still nothing. Then slowly, the symbols on the doors began to move. They rearranged themselves into a pattern that Kate had never seen before. A warning. A pulse of energy shot out from the doors, hitting in the chest. He flew backward, crashing onto the platform 20 feet away. His armor cracked. His body twitched. The Guardian's voice echoed across the platform, cold and firm. Deception is not tolerated. Commander of the Empire is banned from petitioning for entry. This decision is permanent. Kate ran to his side. He was alive but badly hurt. His modified DNA was already breaking down, returning to its natural state. The genetic modifier had failed completely. You were warned, Kate said softly. The vault cannot be tricked. Coughed and pushed himself up. His eyes were filled with rage and shame. This changes nothing. Even if your story is true, it only proves that the universe is unfair. Why should humans inherit power that they did not earn? What have you done to deserve it? It was Danny who answered. Nothing, he said. We did not earn it. We did not deserve it. It was a gift from people who loved us before we existed, just like your ancestors gave you gifts, your technology, your culture, your strength. You did not earn those either. They were given to you. Stared at him. That is not the same. It is exactly the same. Every species inherits things from those who came before. The question is what we do with our inheritance. Danny looked at the vault's closed doors. The Guardians told us that we cannot unlock the vault's full power until we prove we are ready, and the way to prove it is by treating other species as family, not enemies. Vex stepped forward. What does that mean? How can humans treat us as family when the vault excludes us? Danny thought about this for a moment. Then he looked at Kate. What if we do not exclude them? What if we bring them with us? Kate understood immediately. You want to see if a human can bring a non-human into the vault. The Guardian said the test is about how we treat others. Maybe the doors will open for anyone who comes with a human. Maybe the gift can be shared. Laughed again, but this time there was less anger in it. You would risk this for us, for species who have threatened you. I am a cargo pilot, Danny said simply. I spend my life helping people get things from one place to another. This is not that different. He walked toward the doors, then stopped and turned back. His eyes found Vex. Ambassador, you have waited 47 years. Would you like to come with me? Vex's tail went rigid with shock. Her golden eyes filled with tears. You would do this for me? You do not even know me. I know you have been patient and kind. I know you did not threaten or attack. That seems like enough. Vex walked slowly toward him, as if afraid the offer would disappear if she moved too fast. When she reached his side, Danny took her hand. Let us see what happens, he said. Together they walked toward the doors. Kate held her breath. Commander, still sitting on the ground, watched with wide eyes. Everyone on the platform was frozen, waiting. The symbols on the doors began to move. The blue glow grew brighter. And then, slowly, beautifully, the doors opened. Warm golden light poured out. The musical sound filled the air. And the Guardian's voice spoke, softer now, filled with something that sounded like joy. Welcome, both of you. Danny and Vex stepped through the doors together. The ambassador, who had waited almost half a century for this moment, was finally entering the vault. Not alone, not as a petitioner, but as a guest, as family. Behind them, Kate smiled. The test had begun. Humanity was finally learning what it meant to share. And somewhere deep inside the vault, Guardian Prime watched with ancient, patient eyes. After 3 billion years of waiting, the architect's children were starting to grow up. The vault was even more beautiful than Vex had imagined. For 47 years, she had dreamed of this moment. She had pictured grand halls and ancient treasures, but nothing could have prepared her for the reality. The gardens that floated in midair, the rivers of light that flowed upward, the gentle presence of the Guardians, watching with something that felt like love. Danny walked beside her, still holding her hand. He seemed just as amazed as she was, even though he had been inside before. It is different now, he said quietly, more alive, happier. Vex understood. The vault was celebrating. After billions of years, its purpose was finally being fulfilled. Guardian Prime appeared before them, a shape of moving light that filled the air with warmth. Other Guardians gathered around, smaller but no less beautiful. You have done well, Guardian Prime said to Danny. This is what the architects hoped for. I just held her hand, Danny replied. It was not that hard. The greatest acts rarely are. It is choosing to do them that matters. Kate joined them, having followed through the open doors. Behind her came others, humans and non-humans alike. The doors remained open, welcoming anyone who entered with a human guide. Commander stayed on the platform outside. His body was still recovering from the Guardian's pulse, but that was not why he did not enter. His pride would not let him accept help from the species he had threatened. Kate saw him through the open doors and felt a strange sadness. Was strong and brave, but his anger was keeping him from something beautiful. Guardian Prime noticed her gaze. Do not worry, change takes time, he will find his own path. What happens now? Kate asked. The vault is open, but you said the full power is still locked. How do we prove we are ready? This was the first step. Humans chose to share instead of keeping their gift for themselves, but one act is not enough. The test is not a single moment. It is a lifetime, many lifetimes, generations of choices, each one building on the last. Vex finally let go of Danny's hand. She walked toward one of the floating gardens and touched a flower that glowed with blue light. It was from a world that had died 1 billion years ago, preserved here in the vault. "My people have waited so long," she said. "We believed the Guardians were judging us, rejecting us, but that was never true, was it?" "No," Guardian Prime replied. "We were not judging. We were waiting. The architects did not want any species to feel excluded. They wanted their children to be the ones who opened the doors for others." Then the other species were never being rejected. They were being given a chance to be welcomed. Yes, the difference seems small, but it matters. To be allowed in by rules is one thing. To be invited in by family is something else entirely. Kate thought about this. The architects had understood something deep about the nature of belonging. It was not enough to be permitted somewhere. True belonging came from being wanted. A sound came from outside. Kate turned and saw more aliens approaching the platform. Word had spread quickly. Dozens of species were arriving, hopping for a chance to enter. "What should we do?" Danny asked. Kate smiled. "We should welcome them, all of them." For the next several hours, humans guided aliens into the vault, one group at a time. Diplomats walked alongside human scientists. Traders from distant worlds held hands with human children who had come to the station with their parents. Even the came eventually. Not commander, but younger soldiers who were curious and less proud. They entered with stiff backs and suspicious eyes, but they entered. And when they saw the beauty inside, their faces softened. Guardian Prime watched it all with quiet satisfaction. The vault was filling with life and laughter for the first time in billions of years. As the day turned to night, or what passed for night in this place, Kate found herself alone in a quiet chamber. The walls showed images of the architects, the final recordings they had left behind. One image caught her attention. It showed an architect standing before a window looking out at the stars. She was old, her face lined with age and wisdom, but her eyes were bright with hope. The architect spoke, and this time Kate could understand the words. "We do not know if our plan will work. We do not know if our children will ever exist. But we have to try. We have to believe that the universe is not cold and empty, that love can cross the distance between stars, that family is more than blood." The old architect smiled. "If you are watching this, then we succeeded. You exist. You found your way home, and I want you to know something important. We are proud of you, not because of what you have accomplished, not because of what you might become, but simply because you are. You are our children, and that is enough. It will always be enough." The image faded. Kate wiped tears from her eyes. She had never known her own grandparents. They had died before she was born, but now she felt like she had met them, like she understood where she came from. Danny found her a few minutes later. He sat down beside her and said nothing. He did not need to. They both understood. Outside the chamber, the sound of voices grew louder. Hundreds of beings were exploring the vault now, discovering its wonders. Some were crying. Some were laughing. Some were simply standing in silence, trying to understand what they were feeling. Guardian Prime appeared before Kate and Danny one last time. "This is only the beginning," the ancient being said. "The vault's full power is still locked. The architect's greatest gifts are still waiting, but you have started something that cannot be stopped. The test will continue for generations, but today was a good day." "What happens if we pass the test?" Danny asked. "What are the gifts?" "Technologies that can heal dying worlds. Knowledge that can end wars. The power to build a civilization that spans the entire galaxy, united not by conquest but by choice." Kate took a deep breath. "And what happens if we fail?" "Then the gifts remain locked, and the galaxy continues as it always has, divided and struggling." Guardian Prime paused. "But I do not think you will fail. The architects chose their children well. Kate stood up. She had come to the vault looking for answers about the past. Instead, she had found a purpose for the future. "We should get back to work," she said to Danny. "There are a lot more people waiting outside." Danny nodded and followed her toward the entrance. On the platform outside, Commander was still sitting alone. His wounds had healed, but his pride was still broken. He watched as human after human led alien after alien into the vault. Kate walked over to him and held out her hand. "Come with me," she said. Looked at her hand like it was a weapon. "I threatened your species. I tried to trick the Guardians. Why would you help me?" "Because that is what family does. We forgive. We move forward. We do not leave each other behind." Was silent for a long moment. Then slowly he reached up and took her hand. Together they walked toward the open doors of the vault. The Guardian's voice spoke one final time, warm and welcoming. "Welcome home." The doors stayed open. They would stay open for a very long time. And somewhere in the heart of the vault, in a chamber where time itself seemed to pause, the recording of the old architect played again. Her final words echoed through the empty space. "We are proud of you, simply because you are." The architect's children had finally come home, and they had brought their new family with them.